webinar is first, we're going to do a really quick background on Liquitex, what it is, where it came from, just a minute or two. Then we're going to go into a use case, right? We're going to do a nice demonstration of how you'd use Liquitex in an actual, it's very simplified, but an actual scenario. We're going to talk a little bit about best practices, and then we're going to leave about 10 minutes or so at the end to answer any of your questions. So to get started here, to give a little bit of context. So Liquitex is really about the problem of how do computers help us understand things, right? We know computers are fantastic. Computing has had revolutionary effect on helping us find great content, and a revolutionary effect on helping us compose great content. But how do computers help us digest, understand, annotate, organize, and make sense of the content that we found? And in a lot of ways, they don't. What we actually find is that computers tend to, if anything, actually make it a little bit worse. In various studies, they found that about 80% of professionals prefer to do their reading on paper rather than computers. And I'm like, my gosh, there's got to be a better way than that. And what we found for a big part of why this happens is that the way we've largely implemented reading on computers, we've kind of taken the way you read on a book and tried to kind of just drop it into digital form. And it doesn't work. You end up inheriting the limitations of paper without really inheriting its benefits. So the idea of Liquitex is a little bit different. We said, instead of trying to build on and replicate paper, let's start from first principles, understand how people think when they read and research, and build something on that. And so after 4 years of research, a couple peer-reviewed papers, and a doctoral dissertation, we got Liquitex. And the idea, again, is to make your research, and research could be anything from academic research to preparing for a trial if you're a litigator, all the way to studying different open positions to figure out what job you'd be a best candidate for. We see people doing all these and innumerable more. So we want to make your research more efficient, insightful, and even enjoyable. So we launched our product in 2015. We got some very good press. Wolf 360 liked it, called it world-changing. And so with that, I think it's time for us to go to a demo. So to do our demo here, I'm going to open the Liquitex app. And what we're going to do today is we're going to do kind of a light legal demo project. And so what you see here is this is the Liquitex home screen. We have our different projects, and I'll start by opening this Good Co patent project. Now, the context of this story, or of this demo, is, let's say you're an attorney for Good Co, and you guys make little snappable bricks for kids. And Bad Co has just ruthlessly copied your new snappable brick technology. And so now you're going to get ready to sue them. So we're going to do that in Liquitex. So to begin with, this is the Liquitex main editor screen. Let me just quickly talk you through this. So over on the far left here, we have your document list. So the way Liquitex works, it's kind of, you combine document reading on one side with a workspace where you can put your notes and things on the other side. So on the far left, you have the list of documents you've imported into your current project. After that, you have document that you're reading now. And then over on the right, you have your workspace where you can put your notes. So to begin our project, let's say I want to think about what laws that we claim our adversary in this Bad Co broke. And to do that, I'm just going to tap on the workspace, tap and hold on the workspace, and make a little text box. It wants to know my initials. Okay, and we'll say laws Bad Co broke, and maybe we'll just highlight that in red because it's pretty important. So what we're going to do is we're going to look over at, we're going to start with our US patent law document. We're going to find the relevant statutes, select them, and then pull them out into the workspace like this. Now, this is a simple little interaction, but it's pretty powerful. What I've done is I just selected text in a document that I found, and I pulled it out into my workspace. Now let's do this with international patent law as well. So I'll go over here, I find the relevant statutes, pull those out as well and connect them together. So now this is getting a little more interesting, right? Now I'm taking information from a variety of different documents, different locations, different documents, and aggregating them together in the workspace so I can see them together, organize them together, and kind of start making sense of them. This is a big piece of what Liquitex is about, right? Trying to help you see all the important things together. And now one of the really powerful things is you notice there's these big arrows on the left of these little excerpts I pulled out here. If I tap any of these, it takes me right back to the source, right? Just like that. And it's actually really general. If I want, I could even hold down 2 of these arrows and it would actually open both documents at once so I can see both sources at the same time. We'll do a little bit more with that kind of fun later. Okay, so now we have some info on the laws that Badco broke, but now I'd like to start looking at the into the deposition transcript when we depose the creator of these snap bricks for Goodco. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tap and hold again, make a little text box, and say what we created. Maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger here. Now let's say maybe I decide I want to do a little bit with inking. So we're going to open the deposition transcript here. And what I've done is I've already gone through and highlighted what seem to be the most important parts of it. But I'm not really sure what makes the most sense to focus on. Where do I find the points that talk about what we created? I think what I'd like to do is kind of see all these important highlighted things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap over on the far top left, I'm going to tap highlight view. And what highlight view does is it lets me bring all of my notes here, all of my highlights here together with as little or as much context as I need, right? So now I can see all of the important things together. And now I can see the big picture, and I can see there's kind of 2 dimensions to what we created, right? We created this core idea. We had this core recognition that we had that, we want bricks to be able to be connected and disconnected with the grip strength of a 5-year-old. And then we had our details about the ABS plastic film we created to do it. So I want to kind of capture all of that. So I'm just going to click on the little pen here, and I'm going to write idea, and I'm going to write, apologize for my messy handwriting, and I'm going to write details. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an ink link from the first point and from the second point into my notes here. Now, this is really, really special what we've just done. I just drew a simple line and it created a live connection between my document and my notes, right? And so as I uncollapse this, these lines remain. And so later on, I can tap either of these little ink links and it takes me right back to the source there. Really amazing. So I can connect anything to anything. Okay, so this is great. I have some information about what it is we created exactly. Now I want to start digging a little bit more deeply into what's in our patent. What have we actually protected here? So I'll create another little text box. I'll say our patent. Maybe we'll highlight this guy in green here. And so for that, I'm going to open the snap brick patent. You see here, first thing we have our lovely diagram. So I'm just going to select this little diagram here and pull it right out into the workspace like this. I'll shrink it down a little bit and connect it with this. Now, the thing is, this diagram is helpful, but I really want to reference or connect it to the claim that that relates to it. Now, the problem is the claims of this patent are, like a whole bunch of pages away. I'd really kind of need to see them side by side to decide which claim is the most relevant one. But how can you see 2 things side by side when they're many pages away? Well, one of the things that we really love doing in Liquitex, again, is making it easy to see important things together. So we said you can actually squeeze together the document like this. I can crunch it up. And in fact, on the iPad, I can or on a Windows tablet, I can just do this using my fingers. So I'm literally squishing the document with my fingers, and it's bringing the different pages side by side. On a PC or a Mac, you can do this using the mouse, of course, as well. So now I can see these things together, and I can find the relevant claim right here. I can select it, pull it out, and attach it. Wonderful. Again, bringing all that important information together. Okay, now we'll just uncollapse that. Now we'll do the same thing for Badco's sales materials. Look at their copy of what it is we created. So I'll make another little box here, and we'll write Badco's copy. and we'll highlight this in red, of course. We'll open the Badco sales materials, and we'll just scroll down. And we see, first of all, oh man, you can see that they ruthlessly copied our technology. So I'm going to go back to inking mode here, and I'm just going to circle this and pull it right out into my workspace like this. This is a great feature. It means if you happen to be using an ink-based device, you can just circle anything and pull it right out into your workspace like this. So this is pretty helpful. I also see some of the text where they really make it clear just how badly they've copied us. They even talk about the little bubbles and everything. I'll pull this out and connect this as well. Now, this is interesting here. I want to really emphasize the places where they copied us. So I'm going to just pick a red pen, and now I'm going to start annotating these actual images. So you notice these excerpts I pulled out, I can start writing on them, annotating them, connecting them, but I can also go a step further, and I can start connecting them with each other, even if they're far away. So we have this little grouping here talking about our patent, and then we have this grouping talking about Badco's materials, but they all really connect to ultimately what came from the deposition. So I'm going to draw an ink link here and an ink link here. And notice what's happened. It's connected these guys together. And so now I can move this away, move it wherever I want. And so I can actually use this to start creating sort of a mind map in my workspace. Because later on, I can always just tap one of these links to get right back to whatever is on the other side of it. Okay, so this is great. So now I'm starting to see the bigger picture, gathering all the information I need. But I noticed something really interesting. I see that Badco is claiming that they did more than just use this technology. They're claiming they created this technology. See right here. Now, if that's true, that if they're claiming that, then that means they're guilty not only of stealing our intellectual property, but they're also guilty of false advertising. So maybe we can get them on that too. But to be sure that we can get them on that, I need to check that deposition transcript again and make sure that we didn't just license the tech, that we actually created it. So how are we going to do that? Well, of course, I can just, switch over to the deposition transcript and switch back to Badco, but really I want to see these side by side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold one finger on the Badco sales materials over here, and I'm going to take my other finger and tap the details link that I created in the deposition transcript comment. And look at this. It actually lets me hold both documents open at the same time. So now I can see both documents side by side, and I can see, yes, indeed. Not only did we use this technology, we actually created it ourselves. Well, this is great, but I've just discovered a nice connection. How do I capture this connection? Well, what I can do is, you saw how earlier I created an ink link between my little text box here and the deposition transcript. I can also do this between different documents. So I'm going to actually create a line here. And so now what it's done is it's made a live ink link between these different documents. So you'll just like this. So now later on, if I'm looking at the deposition transcript and I want to return to that point in the Badco sales materials, I can again just tap that link and it reopens the Badco sales materials, just like that. Really amazing stuff. Okay, so let's see. We can close this now. So of course, now let's say I'm getting near the end of this and I want to start reviewing my materials as we get ready for the litigation. Well, of course, as I showed you earlier, I can tap any of these links and they all take me right back to the source. And of course, as I showed right at the beginning, I can even tap a couple of links at once and it'll open both documents side by side so I can compare them. But now to really take this to the next level, well, actually better yet, to take this to the next level, I need to start sending this material to the judge. So I can't really send the judge this messy workspace with all this different information in it. I want to send the judge something that's a little bit more refined. So Liquitex tries to give you a lot of options for sending material to other apps. So we can just go to send here. And notice we can either send a Liquitex file, a PDF file, or a notes outline. Well, in this case, I think our best bet is going to be the notes outline. And what Liquitex does is it takes all the highlights and all the annotations in the workspace and everything, and it compiles them into a nice, simple, linear document like this. It's really great. Now I can take this if I like and just export it straight over to Microsoft Word. Likewise, I can also build this entire project into a PDF that I can send over to my PDF, to a generic PDF reader. Now, let's say I do this, I send this to the judge, and the judge says, this looks interesting, but there's one point that Badco says their bricks are a very different size than yours. So is there anything in your patent or anywhere here that would make us think that you protected these bricks, even if they're different sizes? Well, what I'm going to do to find out is I'm going to do a quick search here. I'm going to search my documents for the word size, and I'll say search all documents in the project, and we hit go. And you notice all the way on the left now in our documents list, we see little red lines next to any of the documents that have search results. So I see there's some mentions in the deposition transcript, but let's start with the SnapBrick patent. So if I pinch it now, look what happens. Just like I did with the highlights, by pinching the document, it brings all of my search results together so I can see them again with as much or as little context as I need. And so let's do that again instead of closing it. All right. So we'll bring that down here, and perfect. We see right here, it says that we can make these in different sizes. We'll pull this out and we can send this off to the judge. And of course, the judge looks at it and we win the case. So life is good. So let me pause there for a moment. There's a couple of other things that I'd love to show folks, but let me pause there and see if we have any questions to start with. All right, do we have any open questions yet? See, we're just learning to use some aspects of this system too. Okay, I think if you do, please use the raise your hand, and I think then it will go to the Q&A. Okay. In the meantime, then, let me go on and show another couple things that I think you guys would find interesting. So one of the things that we've added recently is tags. We've been really excited about that. The idea is that this is a very simplified, small project, but in a real project, you could have hundreds, even thousands of excerpts floating around. And so we wanted to make it a little bit easier to organize them. So one of the things that you can do now is you can add tags to a Liquitex project. And so we can say, for example, a tag is important. And then we get a little tag that pops up on the excerpt. Likewise, we could add a tag here that says needs review, and we get that likewise. And so what we can do then is later on, we can do a search in the workspace, and we can say, find me all of the needs review tags. And they'll find all of those in the workspace and highlight them, and we can just jump around back and forth between them. Now, one of the really cool things that we've done with tags is we've added the ability to create tags by category. So we could have, for example, client Jones for something like that. And then later on, you could search for anything related to client or anything related to Jones. So you can start actually grouping your tags depending on what they relate to. So one last thing I'd love to show you guys is the newest component that we've added to the Liquitex family, which is our synchronization and backup service. We're really excited about this. I can't really demo that too well live on Zoom, so let me just show you guys a little video of it. You're assuming PowerPoint lets me, which unfortunately it appears that it's not letting me do that. All right, well, my apologies. It seems that PowerPoint is not having as great a day as we'd hoped today. But the nutshell of it is the new syncing service that we just created lets you use Liquitex on multiple devices at the same time, right? So it syncs all of your content to our cloud and also syncs in real time. So one of the things that we're really excited about with this is that Liquitex does really well with multiple devices, right? Like, you might want to use your tablet for doing freehand ink, but at the same time, you might want to use your big screen desktop for analyzing all of these excerpts that you might have created and for organizing them and keeping track of them. So we said, why should you have to pick one document one device or the other? Why don't you use them both at the same time? And so our real-time syncing actually lets you do that. So you can be writing on your tablet, for example, while your ink appears instantly on your desktop and organizing your excerpts on your desktop, and those changes appear instantly on your tablet. So the idea is that you don't have to pick one device or the other. You just use whichever device makes the most sense at each moment for your workflow. So with that, let me pause there. And we'll go and let me get back to Zoom here, and we'll take any questions. Okay. We'll just stop the share for the moment. And we have the first question. How do features in the demo fit with the licensing? Differences between device capabilities. Sure, so great question. So the features I showed in this demo, actually, all the Liquitex licenses would, whether it's Liquitex Pro or Liquitex Live, would have access to these features. The synchronization and the backup, of course, for that, you need to go one step higher. You need our Liquitex Live service. And there's a few other features we're going to be adding that are actually, some of which are coming pretty soon, that are also only going to be available in the Live version. But all the features I showed today are available in Pro or Live. Of course, they're not available in free, right? If you're at the free tier, then much of what I showed around inking and multiple documents would not be available. I see another question. Next question is difference between device capabilities. That's a great question. We generally have about the same features across different devices, but frequently some features will kind of come out on the iPad and then come out to Windows a few months later, or come out on Windows and come out to iPad a couple of weeks later. So sometimes there's a little bit of staggering just because of the differences between the platforms, but generally speaking, they're pretty much the same. There are some nuances where there's certain things that are only possible on one platform. So for example, on iPad, you can double tap your pen to make excerpts that you've selected come out into the workspace. It's a really cool feature. It simply isn't possible with Surface pens at this point, but hopefully at some point it will be. I see a question about collaboration. So we'll just answer that one live. So Liquitex is, we're working on collaboration. We're really excited. We're planning to bring that out probably around mid next year. Great. Are there any other questions? No, I think that's it then. All right. Well, everyone, I want to say thank you so much for coming. My apologies. Before we close, I see there was one more question. The question is, what about user? So sorry, could you please elaborate a little bit more? Okay. Here we are. Question is, can you have a subscription where you allocate other users to share and collaborate? Once collaboration is available, I think the question is, can we have a subscription where can someone buy a subscription in bulk where they then assign seats to different individuals? If you're interested in that, we may be able to help you. Please contact us directly. So you can contact us at Craig@liquitex.net or contact@liquitex.net. And either way, we'll be able to get back to you. And I see we have another question from a security perspective. Is any metadata stored in the app? So if you have more questions about security, I would encourage you to reach out directly to us. We have some materials that we can send you about that. Again, contact@liquitex.net, or just contact me directly at craig@liquitex.net. The metadata, but just kind of the overview of it is, if you are not using our syncing service, then everything is stored locally inside the app, right? We have a database in the app where all of the metadata, all of the content is stored. If you're using our syncing service, then of course we store a cache of it in the app so that it works offline. But a copy of it, of course, is also stored in our cloud built on Microsoft Azure. Great. Okay. At this point, we should probably close. Again, for any other questions, don't hesitate to contact us directly, and we'll be reaching out to you guys with an email later today, asking for feedback on this webinar. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing to engage with you in the future. Have a great day.